Aloha from the Big Island of Hawaii. Um, in the past, I've done audio podcasts. In fact, I started in 2005. My name's Joe. Joe Fireball is what some people call me. Joe Ironman is what some people have called me in the past, but I usually just, hey, Joe works okay for me. I think I'm going to start up my podcast again, except it's not going to be a podcast. It's going to be a YouTube broadcast instead. As much as I hate subjecting people to this, I just thought it might be something where I could get more participation from other athletes than I know. I've been a triathlete, still am, I guess. Cyclist, runner, swimmer, although people will deny me being a swimmer. You know who you are. But I thought I'd start it up again since we're kind of facing a little bit more home work and homestay. And although I am certainly challenged financially and spiritually and in other ways, I know a lot of you are much more challenged than I am, having many keiki, maybe somebody that you're taking care of who isn't too well right now. So I thought maybe I'd do this. I think we're all looking for content, things to look at. Sorry, I got to look at this, but I thought I'd go ahead and start it up again. And let's see, as far as my home isolation has gone, the last event that I did was indeed a week and a half ago, the Big Island International Marathon. I did the half marathon. And that was the last event that I was at where there were multiple people in one area, sort of, kind of. Although in a road marathon, people are kind of spread out. I'm usually at the very back. I'm usually running with the same people I'm chasing. There's not too many people who are chasing me. So I am a race director too. I had to cancel a couple of races. I'll probably have to cancel a couple more possibly this year as things go forward. But I supported the race director. I wanted to support the race director. I didn't necessarily support his decision. Certainly now, as we've gone forward in the last just week and a half here, I'm not sick. Knock on wood. Oops, sorry. I'm not sick, although I wake up every day pretty much with the symptoms of COVID-19 because I have asthma. I have had some headache issues over the last few months that I've been dealing with, and have had a few MRIs and stuff like that done to me. But I don't have a fever, haven't had a fever in the last week and a half here. I am monitoring. I have pretty much stayed at home outside of going out to the place where I usually run, which is very isolated. And I run into a few people out there, but we're all kind of keeping our social distance, I guess. But as far as I can tell right now, and this is Friday, or this is Thursday, I'd have to look at my watch here, 26th. And it will be 14 days since the Big Island International Marathon this Sunday. So, and according to the latest statistics, I think the median time is 5 days, and 97% of the people get it within 10 and a half days, which would be tomorrow for me. And I haven't really gone to the grocery store. I had, for whatever reason, well, it was because I was race directing a race coming up, that I had stocked in a fair amount of supplies. Yes, I have toilet paper. So I was pretty well set, although I tend to be, I'm on a kind of a keto program, but I'm down to the brown rice, butter, Oh, let's see what else. Oh, I have Nutella. I have 2 cookies that I'm saving that I got from a very special person. I ate all the rest, but I'm still saving 2 cookies for probably Sunday is when I'll chow down on those. I thought about renaming the channel as At Risk Hawaii Runner or something like that, but I don't want to do that necessarily because I'm indeed I'm in the at risk age group, certainly, and being compromised. I have asthma and I have psoriasis. I know I can probably hold up my arm there, which is an autoimmune disease. And that's where my status is as far as catching anything from anybody. I also do, I'm lucky enough to be a bike safety instructor for PATH, People's Advocacy for Trails Hawaii. So we do go out and help 9 and 10-year-olds on the island learn how to ride a bike, learn how to ride a bike safely. I usually get the keikis, as we call them here in Hawaii, the kids. The ones that don't know how to ride a bike, I'm usually the person that's lucky enough to be there to help them learn how to ride a bike and to be there, as they reach that point where they've mastered how to ride a bike. So that program for the rest of the school year has been canceled here. The schools are shut down. They were on spring break, which was last week, I think. And going forward, the Department of Education, DOE, said, well, stay home further. And now we're on essentially a stay-at-home program until April 30th. And traffic has been lighter, certainly. Up here where I live, up country in Paniolo country, up in Waimea. It's always usually pretty slow anyway when school is out, but there are still cars going out. Technically, because of what I do also to earn money is I do computer technology. I fix computers. I do a lot of it remotely anyway, so it's kind of an area that I'm comfortable with, and most of my clients are comfortable with too. But technically, according to the guidelines issued by the governor, I would fall under, I think it's number 15, where it's I'm a technology-based company where in the past I certainly have gone to people's homes and I supply computer equipment in a limited supply to people on the island and stuff. I have only been driving really to go to where I normally run, which is out in the country. It's only 8.8 miles. I had to actually measure it because I don't know, it's 15 minutes away. And it's very isolated. Horses, pigs, I saw pigs out there yesterday, which you normally don't see pigs on the road. Every once in a while I do, but so it's a pretty isolated area. I do not get out of the car. I haven't interacted with anybody really. The grocery stores on the island have been nice enough to open up a time frame from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. when us people who are at risk can come in and shop without the usual crowds. We're not really crowded up here. There's 2 grocery stores in Waimea. There's KTA and there's Foodland. And they're not super crowded like a Costco would be, like the Costco in Kona. But they've given us those hours from 6 until 7 to go ahead and just shop. My catch-22 on that is because I have asthma, I have inhalers. I normally don't use the inhalers. In fact, I haven't probably used them in a year or two. Every once in a while, I will take the inhaler along with me, if I'm doing a marathon. I mean, if it's a race. If I'm training, I don't take it with me. And so I called up the insurance company where I have health insurance and asked them if I could get a refill on my prescription, which here's the catch-22. The hours for me to shop safely are from 6 to 7. The pharmacy doesn't open up until 8:30. So I have a prescription for my, it's not the albuterol, because I do have, in fact, right here I have this one, which is the emergency one, which I don't know if you can see it. I don't think it's going to be in focus. Nope, probably not. I have 90 hits on this, so I'm good as far as that goes. And this is probably 2 years old. On the other one that I'm, the Preventol, that I'm supposed to take a couple of puffs every day, which I haven't for years and years, I don't have any of that. I'm out of that. Which with the symptoms, that part of the symptoms of the virus are, of course, shortness of breath. Yeah, every morning. Sniffles. Well, yeah, I have allergies and stuff too. So I pretty much hit those two pretty much every day. But so far, no fever, knock on wood. And not a sore throat, although it's funny with the asthma, you do get congested here. Somebody asked me one time, I was part of a study in Colorado where it was the Colorado Marathon, it was called at that time, which was down actually south of Denver. And they did a study about asthma or exercise-induced asthma, and I was part of that study. And they asked me, well, how does it feel when you have asthma? I feel like somebody in high heels is standing right on my chest. And they went, wow, that's really a nice description. And, but, so far I seem to be okay. And my concern, of course, was to that if I had anything going on, I would not have showed up to the Big Island International Marathon. I wouldn't have gone. If I had a cold, if I had the sniffles, even if I thought it was just cold or sniffles, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near there, because I would not want to put anybody else in danger. And I know the race director got grief from people about it, and I understand that. I'm not going to place judgment necessarily on his call. I still support him. I support the fact that there's been additional races that have been canceled here on the Big Island. We're pretty isolated, fortunately. The government has finally come around to placing a little bit more restrictions on us. The isolation, when you think about it, at least when I think about it, is it's great in a way. It could be potentially not great in a way. It's that we can cut off anybody coming here. We can cut off anybody better than, sitting on the mainland. We have less people. We have more, at least certainly here on the Big Island. Oahu, different story with Honolulu. Maui, certainly a different story with as many part-time residents, shall we say, who own condos and stuff there. So we're in a position where we can, if everybody behaves and nobody goofs off, we can actually kind of put this thing hopefully on a, it's going to get worse. I mean, there's no way you can get around that. There's going to be more people that are going to get it, just as a matter of course, just like, I don't want to say just like the flu, but like any disease that's going through a population. I don't even know if this one will peak. There may be several peaks, who knows, but we'll find out. And right now, I just would encourage people, you don't have to buy toilet paper. Like I said, I was lucky enough to kind of stock up on stuff, because I knew there'd be a couple of weeks where I wouldn't be able to get to the store. But geez, and I've noticed some of my friends have been posting too on their videos on Instagram and stuff where they're wearing masks. And it's like, if you're not working in the health profession, I'd be reluctant to, and if you're going out on a bike ride or going out somewhere where there's nobody going to be there, you probably don't need a mask. I was joking, I had seen some people had posted about buffs. I don't have one right here. I keep them in the truck. They're kind of like not collar things, but like a hat that you can put on. It's a sleeve essentially, and you can put around. I usually put it on my neck. It's been cold lately. It's been windy, and then you can kind of move it up to your face. If it gets cold, you can put it on your head and put it over your ears. And I've been using those for a few years, and now I almost feel guilty if I put it up over my nose. I do it basically because it's cold. Not, you know, all the scientific evidence has shown that it's people who have the virus that need to cover their mouths, not necessarily, and certainly a buff problem. I would hate to see some of the buffs or some of the germs that are on the buffs that I have. You know, I've had them for a while, so, but that's one thing that I have normally that now all of a sudden takes on a new use, you might say. But and I've noticed lately that there's more people walking their dogs. I don't know if it's just because that's the only form of exercise they get in the neighborhood where I don't own this house, but I rent a little what's called an ohana here. There's been more people out on just the street, which usually it's a pretty nice little neighborhood. It's a very nice little neighborhood where people can just walk around the street. The weather, to be honest, everybody says, "Oh, beautiful Hawaii." Yes, it is. It is a beautiful, beautiful place, and one of the most, if not the most beautiful place in the world. Lately, up here, up country, it's been very, very windy, 50-mile-an-hour winds. And cold for us, anything below 70 is cold. And it's been dropping to like about 53 at night, which with a wind it's not that ideal. Again, the part of the Big Island that's to try and explain it is we have, I think, 7 out of the 11 different climate zones that you can possibly have. I have friends who live down in Kona, and then blue skies, sunshine, hot up here in where I'm at. It's blue skies some of the time, not lately though. And recently we were under a high wind warning, tropical storm warning, high surf, and also there was a tsunami warning that came in, which is a very, very, very real thing to us. And it turned out it was at the Kuril Islands off Russia. And unfortunately, the website that we all go to kind of broke down as far as saying that it was cleared. They didn't need time to evaluate. Certainly, whenever we hear about an earthquake anywhere in the Pacific, it takes time for NOAA to evaluate whether or not there's going to be any kind of tidal waves generated by the earthquake. They have buoys out in the middle of the ocean that if the buoy raises 2 inches, that means that when it gets to Hawaii, it's 8 feet. So they took time to evaluate that, but the site kind of broke down. So people were kind of going, so what's going on? We got, we've had volcanic, eruptions. We've had lava flows. We've had bad quality air. We've had now tsunami warnings. And excuse me, actually one race that I raced direct, which was the week before Ironman in 2006, I think it was. We had to, well, we didn't cancel it. I wasn't race directing it at the time, but I usually help out. But we had the tsunami or the earthquake that hit just off the airport here, and it did not generate a tsunami, which was a good thing. But we still went ahead and did the race. And then, gosh, I can't even remember the race. One of our path runs, the Run for the Hops, which is part of the Kona Brew Fest. We had a tsunami. It was the earthquake in Indonesia, I believe, if I remember correctly, where we ended up with things being on Aliki Drive being, damaged. And I mean, it was a real tsunami. And that was the Thursday before the race. And I had to go out to what we call Old Airport recreation area, check to see that we could still run out there and stuff. So we've been through a lot as far as the races that I'm lucky enough to be part of. But, this one has kind of got everybody hunkered down, I think, pretty good. They closed all the beaches, the beach parks. They say people can still go swim. And people can still go pursue activities that are healthy activities, such as running, such as biking. There has been some pushback a little bit on the biking end of things, just because if you're out on the road, and unfortunately it's happened too many times here, where there's been a car hit a bike, and people have been hurt, people have to go to the hospital. This further stresses out our healthcare system here, which can at times, normal times, be certainly stressed out enough as it is. So there's some people that are saying, well, you really shouldn't bike. They've kept, as part of the rules of businesses that can stay open, they've said bike stores can stay open, but that's more geared towards people whose only means of transportation are bikes, and not necessarily people who are recreational bikers. So, most of the cyclists that I know are very, very competent, world class, a lot of them. But I would certainly, I'm probably not going to break my bike out. I've got it, it's inside here. I'm probably not going to do that. The races, the short summary of the races that we've had canceled here, and the run for the hops, we had to cancel that. The upcoming Lava Man Triathlon, which was supposed to be 26, 27, 28, not this weekend, but next weekend. That's been canceled. Tough decision by Jerry, the race director, but she had to do it, I think, and bravo to her for doing it, and canceled it, didn't try to delay it. We're blessed here on the Big Island by multiple weekends where there's multiple events going on. In fact, if you're starting a new race up, it's tough to find a slot. It's tough to find a day when you're not going to conflict with another race. And we all, generally speaking, will practice aloha when it comes to that. I don't want to schedule a race that I know there's another race going on. So Lava Man's been canceled. And as a part of that, our Sunset 5K race has been canceled, which is the Friday before Lava Man. I had a race that I was signed up for up on what's called R1 around Mauna Kea. It was going to be a 50K. There was going to be a preview on this last weekend here on Sunday. This is Alex Lux, the fiance of Billy Barnett. They had planned this race, and they were doing a great job. She's been doing a great job on it. She had to delay the actual date because of permitting to next month, but she's considered, we don't know what's going to be happening by next month, really. So she, I think, wisely went ahead and so far has delayed it, I believe, not necessarily canceled it. A small kind race, it's a 50K or 50 miler up at altitude. Certainly R1 is, what's the altitude up there, about 5,000 feet where you start out, going up to over 7,000 feet, close to 8,000 feet. So she's delayed that race. The Macathon, which is a benefit for the Keoa Canoe Club here on the island, has been going on 40 years, I think. It's the longest 5K, 10K race that's been going on the island. They voted to go ahead and cancel it. And like Jerry, I do believe they canceled it. They're not going to try and delay it. It's a little bit cleaner. I know as a race director, I'm faced with, we initially with the Brewfest race, the 5K run for the hops, 5K, 10K run for the hops, we announced that we were delaying because the Brewfest essentially said that they were going to try and delay their festival. And once they decided not happening this year, it's too difficult to try and push stuff out. Everything is kind of backing up towards the end of the year now, and even then, you don't know what's going to happen. But they've canceled for this year, so we're going to roll over anybody who's in that race to next year's race. We're not in a position really to give refunds. Unfortunately, we're a small nonprofit, so we've had to kind of ask people for aloha. And 9 out of 10, 9.99 out of 10 people have been wonderful about it and have not, said, hey, give me my money back. We're a nonprofit again, so it is at least a tax write-off for people. But coming up after Alex's race, which was going to be April 11th and April 17th, and also it was the same weekend as the Merry Monarch Festival, which I don't know how many of you would know about hula on the island. It's certainly a tradition that's been here as long as the island's been here. They canceled Merry Monarch for this year, which was a big deal. I mean, that's a very big deal to cancel that event. And let's see, after Merry Monarch, we would have the Ironman Hawaii 70.3 race has also been delayed to August 15th. It was scheduled up for first week in June, and wisely, I think. I mean, since that race, although it's not quite as international as it used to be, because of the way the whole Ironman slots for the big race in October happened, there's been less international athletes, but there's been a lot of athletes from the mainland who come out. Plenty of athletes here from the islands who come out to do it. I did it 2 years ago, and it's a great race, but I think wisely they've canceled that. So that's in June. We're getting into June. I am actually signed up for a 4-day race in California up at the Chamberlain Ranch. Luis Escobar puts on a Born to Run race, which I attended last year. I attempted the 100-mile. I ended up finishing 62 miles. They give me credit for 30 miles. But right now, the last time I checked, Lewis hadn't canceled. I'm going to be out bucks. There's no way I can get around it. I've got a flight already booked and paid for on Hawaiian Airlines. If they cancel my flight, technically, according to FAA rules, I can get the airfare back. If I cancel the flight or try to change it, they're probably still going to charge me $75 to change it. But I'm just waiting right now. I just got an email today from, I had booked a Motel 6 in Thousand Oaks for after the race so that I wouldn't have to drive all the way back to the airport and fly out and stuff. And they canceled my reservation. I hadn't paid for it. I was going to pay at the hotel, Motel 6. And they sent me an email saying that they've canceled and that they're closing until June 30th. Yes, June 30th. So my guess right now is that Lewis will cancel the race, delay the race. I don't know, up to him. It's an expensive race for me as far as the entry fee goes. I love it. The atmosphere is the best you can have as far as an ultra distance race. But I'm a race director too, so I know I've got kind of on both ends here. That race will probably be canceled. I can't see the list trying to pull it off. And then after that, again, Alex Lux, she's got what is it? It's in June. I want to say again, maybe June 15th or thereabouts. A 100K from Hilo to Waimea. It's an old race that used to be done by the Hurt people over in Hawaii or over in Honolulu, where one year you run from Hilo to Waimea and the next year you run from Waimea to Hilo. It's 100K at 62 miles. It's a road race. I don't know what Alex is going to do. It's not going to have, I don't think it'll have, I don't know how many people have signed up. It's certainly going to be spread out. Social distancing won't be a problem. I was going to ask her actually if I could get early start because the start time is tentatively scheduled for 5 p.m. It's under the moonlight is the whole theme of the run. I was going to ask for an earlier start because there's a time cutoff that I don't know if I can make it. I'm slow. But we'll see about that one. That one's coming up. We also have at the end of July, there is, oh, well, the June is still Kona Marathon / Kona Marathon at Waikoloa, Brent Inneman's race. That race has not been canceled yet, but I don't know. I'm not going to try and make the decision for anybody else. That race does draw a lot of people from Japan, a lot of people from the mainland. I mean, it's a fairly well attended race. Not just, there's just not enough local athletes here to make it a big race. But once you add in the people that come from anywhere off island, it gets to be a pretty big race. It's a marathon, half marathon, not a 10K, but a quarter marathon and a 5K. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not signed up for that one. I volunteered last year. I would maybe volunteer this year, but then again, there's a lot of things I have to start thinking about volunteering and race directing, to be honest, because if I'm an at-risk person and there's no vaccine, even if the people at the aid station have gloves on, I'm right there with them. So there's going to be a lot of considerations that I personally have to do, certainly. I think I'm going to end it right now. I've kind of caught everybody up till June-ish time here for the races that we have scheduled on the Big Island. I would encourage you to go ahead and email me. I'm going to use my Fireball account. I'm kind of known as Joe Fireball. So it's joe@joefireball.com. You can just email me any comments, any questions that you have. I'll try to be as responsive as I can after I post this on YouTube. I'm not really big at promoting stuff. I want to thank Tailwind Nutrition. I'm a Tailwind ambassador. I was selected this year to be an ambassador for Tailwind. I had a nice Zoom meeting today with people who are certainly in more difficult situations than myself. But that's part of the reason I decided I'm going to start using Zoom for a video podcast here. But they're great as far as my nutrition goes. I'm lucky enough to be pretty healthy, I think, at most of the time, although I can whine just like anybody. But we'll use the Joe Fireball. I don't want to use any of my other email addresses and stuff kind of for any feedback on the podcast in here. And I'll probably cross promote. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm sponsored, by Tailwind Nutrition. So I would certainly say use it. If you have any questions about Tailwind Nutrition, send me an email. I'd be glad to answer if I can. I think after today's Tailwind meetup that we had, I'm reminded again of the saying that we can only be as great as the people that we talk with. And these are great people. They're struggling in certain areas, but they've certainly stepped up as far as being able to get product for people, and also nutritional needs that you're going to have if you're on a treadmill. My place is really too small to have a treadmill. That's why I go out, and it's beautiful Hawaii. But again, Tailwind Nutrition has been great for me personally when I was just buying product, not just, I get a little swag free here. But I would highly recommend if you're looking for something as you're on the treadmill and still need to get your nutrition when you're on a treadmill, I would highly suggest them. I also use Spring Energy. I'm not sponsored by them. I buy everything that I get from Spring. But I found it to be a great product. I'm kind of an old school, I'd like to take real food at aid stations kind of person, and they're the closest thing in a small form package, I think, that you can have. And I've never had any issues, any stomach issues with them at all, but I'm pretty good at actually eating and drinking just about anything out there on the course. Yeah, I am kind of noted for taking a shot of Fireball every once in a while, and certainly at the finish line. I blame Mike Rouse, my buddy Mike Rouse out there for that part of it. But again, I think I'll sign off now and see how this goes. I'll try and do at least a podcast a week, I would hope. If I start doing a podcast a day, that's probably bad news for me financially, but it is what it is. So I want to make sure I wish everybody a beautiful Thursday, happy Thursday, and please stay safe. Don't come in contact with anybody unless you have to, really. I think if we kind of sit out this month, March and April, and even through, maybe May, I think we'll be in much better position. But again, mahalo nui loa.